and there is no greater reason than I joined the industry than doing something like this, and I'm very happy to be here.
Henry Cavill has had one of the strangest journeys in modern Hollywood. For years, he was often seen as the handsome but replaceable type of actor, always missing out on big roles to more famous names. But over time, Cavill has proven the opposite. He is an actor with an incredible range of acting abilities. Cavill can seamlessly transition from serious, deep roles to entertaining action films. Ironically, his striking appearance often leads people to underestimate his true potential. He has the look of a superhero, but the skills of a seasoned actor. In The Tudors, Cavill's portrayal of Charles Brandon is more than just a loyal friend. He brings to the character the internal struggle between loyalty and distrust of the powerful world around him. Then there's Immortals, where Cavill transforms Theseus from a muscular hero into a man constantly struggling to survive in circumstances beyond his capabilities. And of course, there's Man of Steel. Cavill's Superman is the most controversial version of the character, but much of that stems from how the DC universe under Zack Snyder was so heavily constructed and dark. Cavill had to portray Superman as an alien, who always felt out of place among humanity. His Clark Kent is constantly torn between the desire to fit in and the responsibility of being a being with powers far beyond human reach. What's special is that Cavill conveys all of this not only through dialogue, but also through his eyes, pauses, and body language. Even in everyday scenes, he creates the feeling that this is someone who never truly belongs in this world. Cavill always leans towards subtle emotions in his performance. He doesn't try to flaunt the iconic Superman image, but lets his gaze, the hesitation in his voice, and the gentle moments with Martha or Lois carry the weight of the character. When Superman says he feels lost in the world, it becomes convincing, because Cavill has instilled that feeling in almost every scene before. Even the massive action sequences don't detract from that depth. Whether confronting Zod or piercing steel with immense power, Cavill still conveys the feeling that Superman is fully aware of the consequences of each blow. It's this subtlety that makes Man of Steel not just a spectacular superhero film, but one with genuine emotion. Cavill's Superman saves people not because he's the perfect hero, but because he understands the weight of the choice. Cavill portrays this so sincerely that at times the audience forgets they're watching an acting performance. He makes Superman both extraordinary and very relatable. And for many, it's hard to forgive Zack Snyder for wasting a nearly perfect actor on this role. Then in Batman vs. Superman, Cavill pushes Superman towards a more mythical dimension. This is no longer a hesitant outsider, but a symbol learning to live amidst the world's adoration and hatred. Cavill tuned the performance, so Superman doesn't need to speak too much. His mere presence conveys both power and sorrow. In many scenes that are almost silent, the stillness in Cavill's body still creates the heavy feeling of someone carrying both worlds on his shoulders. But just when everyone thought Cavill would be stuck in serious hero roles, he transitioned to the Man from U.N.C.L.E. Here, Cavill embodies the classic spy charm of Napoleon Solo. The role relies entirely on his dialogue, charisma, and dry humor, and Cavill handles it all with exceptional sharpness. Instead of relying on looks or strength, he builds Solo on subtlety and self-assurance. Cavill proves he can be the sophisticated spy often associated with names like Cary Grant or Pierce Brosnan. In The Man from U.N.C.L.E., he walks as if he owns every room he appears in, yet retains a subtle irony that keeps the character from ever feeling artificial or overly affected. The contrast between his cold exterior and his sarcastic demeanor gives Cavill's Napoleon Solo more layers than expected. He constantly teeters on the edge between self-preservation and reluctant camaraderie. Cavill is also subtle enough to prevent the character from becoming a hollow copy of 1960s spies. Solo's charm is always accompanied by a sense of caution and a very genuine curiosity. In a film full of style and sharp dialogue, Cavill is the one who keeps everything balanced. Then there's Mission Impossible Fallout, where Cavill almost turns his physique into a weapon against Tom Cruise. As August Walker, he embodies brutality, efficiency, and extreme pragmatism. Cavill uses his physique and composure to create a sense of threat in every appearance. Interestingly, he always infuses his eyes and speech with a subtle contempt, as if Walker always believes he is superior to everyone else. The bathroom scene is the perfect example. Cavill transforms a seemingly simple villain into one of the most memorable adversaries of the entire franchise. The way Walker loads with both arms before charging into battle makes him seem more like a machine than a human. Each punch feels like it could end the fight instantly. What makes Walker so terrifying isn't just his strength, but also his cold confidence. While Ethan Hunt wins through agility, Walker believes absolutely in overwhelming power. But Cavill isn't just playing a mere muscle-bound character. He adds enough arrogance to make the betrayal at the end of the film completely plausible. Walker always believes he's above his mission and the team around him. Then Cavill continues to transform, with Enola Holmes as Sherlock Holmes. Interestingly, his Sherlock is completely different from previous versions. Warmer, more approachable, but still incredibly logical. Cavill transforms Sherlock into a kind of older brother, who gradually learns to be more sensitive to others' emotions, instead of just a cold, calculating machine. That's how he refreshes a familiar image, while still maintaining the character's essence. And then there's The Witcher. As Geralt of Rivia, Cavill created perhaps the perfect balance between physical strength and repressed emotions. He built Geralt as a man weary of the world, yet possessing a dry, humor-filled exterior. Even his growls and brief lines of dialogue were transformed by Cavill into a distinct part of the character's personality. Geralt's famous growls are essentially Cavill's way of compressing centuries of hurt and experience into a single sound. Behind the cool, monster-hunting exterior lies a man constantly struggling with loneliness, and Cavill lets that feeling show most clearly in moments of silence. From the moment he appeared, his Geralt was a collection of contradictions. Ruthless, yet gentle, skeptical, yet loyal, distant, yet capable of deeply loving. Cavill's physique and preparation make every fight scene incredibly convincing. But what stands out even more is his use of stillness. His controlled posture, narrow gaze, and slow speech always give Geralt the feeling of carrying the world on his shoulders. Even his characteristic husky voice is a choice Cavill made himself to portray a man transformed both physically and mentally. Geralt's most gentle moments are always emotionally impactful, because Cavill makes them truly fitting. It was genuine, not forced. He understood Geralt's true strength lay in the character's reluctance to allow himself to care for others in a world that constantly punishes weakness. Even when The Witcher's script had problems, Cavill's performance kept the film afloat. He not only embodied the role by performing many of his own action scenes and meticulously researching the lore, but also transformed Geralt into a character almost irreplaceable. Then in Night Hunter, Cavill took a completely different approach. He abandoned all his familiar glamour to play Detective Marshall, a rigid, weary, and obsessive man. Cavill deliberately suppressed his natural charisma to create an uncomfortable and heavy feeling for the character. His Marshall resembled a tool, worn down by years of work, rather than a righteous hero. Cavill lowered his energy, tightened every movement, and used a dry, harsh voice to portray a man who had lost faith in clean justice. In a film where the lines between right and wrong are blurred, Marshall emerges as someone who knows he's sunk too deep, but can't stop. There's no charm or embellishment here, only raw tension and internal conflict. While Night Hunter isn't a particularly outstanding film, Cavill's performance remains a clear highlight. He gives Marshall depth, not through the script, but through the way he imposes weariness, obsession, and psychological weight on the character. In Sandcastle, Cavill continues his shift in direction with Captain Syverson. He portrays a disciplined and tough soldier with a very realistic feel rather than a familiar stereotype. Cavill brings to the character a calmness and authority sufficient to keep the chaotic atmosphere of war stable. Interestingly, he doesn't turn Syverson into a cold, hollow commander. Instead, Cavill portrays the character as a realist, understanding both the futility and the necessity of his mission. Every movement is purposeful, restrained, and effective, giving the impression that he is a survivor of discipline rather than brute strength. Even Cavill's addition of dry humor to the dialogue makes Syverson more human. Despite his limited screen time, he conveys the feeling that the character carries a long past behind him. A soldier weary of war, yet still alert enough to continue leading his comrades forward. Then there's Hellraiser Hellworld, a film most audiences would prefer to forget. But it is here that the familiar motifs of Cavill's career are most evident. Even in a B-grade horror film full of campy themes, he takes his role seriously instead of treating it as something low quality. Cavill always strives for authenticity in his characters, no matter how crazy the surrounding film may be. That very attitude helps him adapt to so many different genres. What connects all of Cavill's roles is his refusal to be typecast. He's like a chameleon, constantly adjusting himself to the demands of each character. Looking back on his entire career, Cavill has acted in historical films, mythological films, superhero blockbusters, spy films, fantasy films, and even low-budget films. But in each genre, he has found a way to create a unique emotional center for the character. This proves that versatile acting isn't about changing appearances, but about the ability to immerse oneself in the world of the story. Henry Cavill perhaps possesses such a wide range of acting that people begin to take it for granted. But if you look closely, you'll see that he's an actor who has built his entire career on constant transformation. And it feels like, even now, he hasn't reached his true limits.